Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Mr. Bradley, and I want to welcome you all to yearbook class. I know we're all going to have a great year together, and I'm sorry I'm not going to be there for the first week of class. This little girl is Y. This is Cora Joe. Cora was born on the 15th, so I'm taking a little bit of time off to stay home with her for a little while. So I know Mr. Link is going to be with you guys all week, and so certainly give him your attention, and I think things will run smoothly, and we'll get together next week and start working on yearbooks. But this is my fourth year at Tolton, and when I'm not teaching yearbook class, I do all of the marketing work and communications for the school. You could find my office during the day just down the hall from this room, right across from the bathrooms if you need to find me during the day. I also coach the boys and girls golf team, so I will be gone a decent amount during this semester while I am at golf tournaments that happen during the day. So a lot of times Mr. Link will be subbing for us or someone else. But certainly come to me if you have any questions about anything going on. So today I thought we'd just take the opportunity a little bit to go over the syllabus that I think Mr. Link will hand out to you all. And so first just talking about the course description. Basically the entire purpose of this class is to produce Tolton's yearbook. Tolton's yearbook is called The Trail, and it's been published every year that the school has been in existence. So this is actually the 10th year of the school, and so we kind of have a cool opportunity this year to produce our 10th annual yearbook. So in this class, students are going to learn skills in the areas of page design, copywriting, editing, photography, advertising, and especially a lot of other kind of skills that you wouldn't think not only apply to yearbook, but to a lot of your classes as well. So talking about time management, teamwork, marketing, and we may even get into some social media stuff this year on how we can promote the yearbook online. So basically students are going to be tasked with creating the yearbook. And the reason why I think this is such an important class is because really in yearbook class we're kind of historians, because especially when you think about a year like this year and even last year with so many things going on in our world, it's so important to document those and for students to be able to look back 10, 20, 50 years from now and see what was going on in that year in their life. So I know personally I was involved in yearbook my junior and senior year of high school, and even at my house now I've got all four of my high school yearbooks sitting on my shelf. And I love to take those out, every couple of years if I get together with high school friends and go through those books and remember some of those old times. So really, though, it's an important responsibility to make sure that we accurately document what happens in the year, because, sometimes it could be easy to just get a picture of the same people doing the same things and just only get pictures of your friends, get quotes from your friends about things going on. And really not cover all 250 students that we have in the school. So this year I really want to make sure that we do our best to make sure all students, are represented in this yearbook, because we're a small enough school that there's no reason that we shouldn't have, pictures of every student in there doing various things. So we're really going to make that a big focus of ours this year. But really, like I said, I think the reason the yearbook is so important is just because it's such a good keepsake for people to keep with them for years to come. I think if you talk to any of your parents too, they'll probably tell you about, I bet they could take out their yearbooks and still show you some of their high school yearbooks. So really it's just a unique responsibility to make sure we document the year and give people that treasured keepsake for years to come. Something that's really important to know the first day of class is that yearbook is a year-long class. So we've had students in the past years that had dropped it after the first semester, and really not only is that kind of defeating the purpose of yearbook class, because you won't really be that involved in actually making the yearbook, but really it puts so much pressure on your classmates then, because if we start the year with 10 of us, and then if we have a couple people drop at the semester, then your classmates are then going to have to double their workload for the second semester. So it's really good to know up front that you are expected to stay in this class the entire year, and then if you drop the class at the semester, it will just result in incomplete, because essentially you learned how to make a yearbook, but you didn't actually make the yearbook. So Just good to know that up front. Basically, the goals and the outcomes that we're looking for in this course, we're looking to produce a high quality production. And so hopefully, in the coming days and weeks, we'll kind of look at what makes a good yearbook and what makes a high quality yearbook. And we'll look at great examples of ones that have done a really good job of that. And then we'll also see some examples of some kind of poor quality yearbooks. So we just want to make sure that we put out something that everyone can be proud of at the end of the year. Students will work with various types of technology and equipment to produce the publication. This is actually a pretty exciting year because just this summer, Tolton purchased Adobe Creative Suite for, I think we have 500 licenses now. So every student in this class would have access to that. One thing that's difficult, and that we'll talk about when I'm back, is that unfortunately the software does not work on Chromebooks. And so I'll need to just kind of evaluate how many of you are using a Chromebook versus a different kind of laptop. And I'm going to see if we can then find a way to maybe get borrow some desktops or other things for the classroom. That way, that if you would like to use the Adobe Creative software, you'll be able to do that. What's really neat about the Adobe software is that you get to learn things like InDesign and Photoshop and Illustrator, and really those are softwares that you're not are just going to use for yearbook class, but if you want to make a flyer for a club that you're in, or if you just want to make and take some photos and edit those photos in Photoshop of your family, you'll be having so many good opportunities to use that software, and I just think that's going to be a tremendous benefit to our class. So, but if we don't end up using InDesign, some of you will use it if it works well on your computer, but if we don't have the means to do it, we also have a way to design the pages through our yearbook company. Our yearbook company is called Walsworth. And what we'll do is you can also just design them online through kind of an online portal that will work on logging in and getting your account set up next week as well. So, but hopefully we're going to be using InDesign to do most of our pages, and that'll really just give you a skill that's important to your future. And it's really a great thing to list on a resume going forward of skills that you know how to use. Kind of just on a personal note, I used InDesign in class when I was in high school for yearbook, and then going into college, I thought that I really wanted to do broadcast journalism at Mizzou, and because I had learned InDesign in high school, when opportunities came up at the student newspaper on campus to design pages for them, and I heard that they use InDesign and would pay you to design the pages, that's really what got me interested in design and why I eventually pursued the degree in magazine design instead. So there's just so many cool things that you could do with this software that I'm really excited for us to be working with that this year. Another important thing we're going to learn is copywriting and how to write good yearbook copy, but also how to edit your yearbook copy, and as well as edit your peers' work, just to make sure that we don't have any misspellings or grammar errors in the yearbook. I love opening up the new yearbooks every year. That's one of the best things. But unfortunately, I always kind of hate to read it over again because inevitably there's always going to be a typo somewhere, and you just hate to see those in something that's going to last for so many years. So we definitely do our best to make sure that we can eliminate those typos before we go to the printer. And then really one of the most important things in this class is not only to work together as a team, but really to meet deadlines. Unlike a lot of classes, this isn't just for a grade. It's not like if we miss our deadline, you just get a bad grade in this class. That actually costs the school a lot of money. For example, there's been times where we've missed the deadline on submitting the cover, and something like that can cost the school up to $200 a month that we miss the deadline by. So, especially if we miss our final deadline for all our pages, that can cost the school thousands of dollars, and then that delays the yearbook coming in the next year, and all of a sudden it gets into December of the next year before you have your yearbook. So, really, as we set deadlines throughout the semester, that way we're not just trying to get them all done May 20th. We're turning in 144 pages. We'll kind of have deadlines throughout the semester to make sure we're meeting those as we go along. Okay. So basically, how this is all going to work is in the coming weeks here, we'll do a lot of focus on just kind of learning how to design pages and how to take good photos and, how to write great stories and edit those stories. And so we'll kind of do a lot of practice assignments and stuff to learn about all those skills. And so really, so the first quarter of the class, I would say there's more kind of assignments and quizzes and that kind of stuff. But as students begin to master those skills, then we'll move on to actually just working on the yearbook. And so pretty much after the first quarter, probably the last 3 quarters of the year, primarily all of your assignments are just going to be working on the yearbook. So there won't be that many kind of busy work things the rest of the semester or the rest of the year. It's really going to be using your class time wisely in order to make sure you get those pages done that you're assigned for the yearbook. Okay. We tried something a little different last year with the yearbook. We had broke students up into groups to do photo for a quarter, and then do design, and then do writing. And I think Mary Rourke's the only one that is coming back this year, so she's the only one that's going to know that's what we used to do. But basically, I decided to switch that up this year simply because it got so hard to grade people, even because if someone was working on the design but they were waiting and they couldn't design their page until they got their photos from another student, and then they were waiting on the writer to get them the story, it was just too difficult to kind of judge whose fault it could be sometimes if something was late. So this year, basically, say you're assigned the boys soccer page. You'll be responsible then for taking some pictures of boys soccer, you'll design the page, and you'll write the story. So that way, when it comes deadline time and I ask, why isn't the page done, you can't turn and say, well, so-and-so didn't give me the pictures and so-and-so didn't get me the story. That way you kind of know that the entire responsibility for that page is on you. So we'll have a day, we'll kind of have a draft day in the coming weeks where we'll decide all the pages that we're going to put in the yearbook together, and then we'll kind of then let students kind of one by one select which pages they want to do, because I've always found that if you are working on a page that you're more interested in the topic, you're probably going to do a better job with that page. So we want to make sure students get an opportunity to pick pages that they really want to work on. As far as materials in this course, really the main thing is just you need to bring your laptop every day. There's really no reason why you wouldn't need your laptop in class, because every day we're going to be designing, writing, editing photos, uploading photos. And so if we don't bring our laptop, then there's not really much you can get done in class that day, because all of your work is going to be done on the computer. So please just make sure that you bring your laptop, as well as bring your chargers, or have your laptop charged when you get to class, and just make sure that we're ready to go with all of that for each class. Okay. So as far as assignments, kind of like I said, the first quarter we'll do some various assignments related to design and photography. We'll go out and have you write a story about a topic that you're interested in, and then basically this will all culminate in you designing what we call a spread. A spread is just 2 pages of the yearbook that kind of face each other. So you'll basically design a spread kind of about yourself. So it's kind of a good way to get to know you guys. So you'll put in pictures of yourself, your family, things you like to do, and kind of make that look like a cool yearbook page. And that will be kind of a good way to practice, bringing it all together for what we're going to be doing in the yearbook. Okay. But a lot of times after the first quarter, one of the primary assignments, is obviously designing the pages and turning those in. But for sure, some work also is going to be done outside of class, because one of the main responsibilities is also taking photos of things. So a lot of times, I've got a school camera I'll use, and you'll see me around at a lot of events taking photos. But for one, it's good to have a student actually taking those photos and having pride in their work. And that way, you can go back and look through the yearbook and say, I took that photo and I took that photo, rather than always relying on me or a parent volunteer to have those photos ready. And then two, students always have a unique perspective on events, and especially kind of fun things going on around the school. Students will kind of behave a different way when a student or a peer is taking their photo as to, compared to when I come in and take their photo in a classroom. So we're going to kind of encourage students to take as many photos as you can. And you'll basically, say, like I talked about, like the boys soccer page, if you're assigned to boys soccer, you'll need to make sure you get at least 1 game, hopefully 2, get maybe even more games, to take pictures of those, that we can publish those in the yearbook. Okay. Because really, if we only get to 1 game, and say something went wrong with the camera and the photos are a little blurry, we just want to have a lot of good options to choose from each of our pages to make sure that we have a high quality production. As far as participation, students are basically are expected to be active participants in class. Really a lot of what we'll do is brainstorm and try to come up with some creative ideas for the yearbook. And in a class of 10, if we only have one or two people that are generating the ideas and expressing those, then really that can only take our yearbook so far. So we want to make sure that everyone's actively engaged and thinking of those ideas and expressing their thoughts about how do we think that we can make the yearbook great. Okay. And really, especially after the first quarter, you'll be given absolutely enough time to work on your pages during class. Okay. Because really those months will be spent with you working on your pages and then really asking questions about, you can ask Mary Rourke, who's our editor this year, or you can ask me about, how you do certain things in the software. If you want to ask questions about what photos you think look better, how to design a page, that's what that class time is for, is to really, have resources there to make sure that you can get your pages done and get them done well. So please make sure you take advantage of that time. Certainly there's some days, if you've already got your pages turned in or, an event hasn't happened yet that you're still waiting on to get pictures from, there might be some time that you can have some class time to work on homework or other things. But really, because you're going to have enough time, that really leaves very little excuse to miss deadlines in this class, because you'll certainly have the class time to do it. So as long as you use your class time wisely, you really won't have that much homework after the first quarter outside of class, other than kind of being in events and taking photos. So how grading is going to work is that during the first semester, your assignments and quizzes will count for 50% of your grade. Your participation in class will count for 20%. And then your yearbook work will count for 30%. And then second semester, that will switch up because you're going to have a lot fewer assignments. And so the yearbook work is going to count for 60% of your grade. Participation will count for 20%, and assignments count for 20%. As far as on late work, because as I talked about, being late and missing deadlines costs the school money. Therefore, any kind of work for the yearbook that's submitted late will be docked 10% per day. Okay. I will offer extra credit on a case-by-case basis. A lot of times it might be if a special event kind of pops up that we didn't have anybody scheduled to take photos at. If someone volunteers and can go take photos at those things, a lot of times I'll give extra credit for that. As far as missing class, most of the work is done in the classroom, and so being present in class is very important, but obviously I know with a lot of student activities going on, I understand when students are gone. So please just let me know that you're going to miss class, and I'll try to let you know anything that you would have missed, as well as what you could be working on. We will have a Google Classroom. I'll send you that link this week to get set up on there. And on there, throughout the semester, we'll kind of post important resources, PowerPoints, other notes about yearbook stuff. And a lot of your assignments are going to be submitted on Google Classroom as well. As far as the academic honesty statement, this is pulled straight from the handbook. It basically just talks about, consequences for plagiarism, cheating, sabotage. Really, in yearbook, because it's all kind of original creative work, we've never really had much of a problem with this, but please know that, we take these things seriously, and those will be dealt with on a case-by-case basis as they come up. Okay. Finally, as far as behavioral expectations go, I really want yearbook to be a fun class for students. And so because of that, I allow students to listen to music while they're designing their pages. So if you want to bring in headphones with your phone to listen to music, I certainly encourage that. But especially if it's a day that I'm lecturing on, design, or one of your classmates is presenting on something, certainly the expectation would be for you to not have those things out while that's going on. Especially if you want to close your computer, make sure you're giving your full attention to some of those things going on. But once you're designing pages, I really encourage music. I think that's a great way to encourage the creative process. So I don't have any problems with that. And so as long as we're being appropriate with those things, we shouldn't have too many issues. Let's see. There may be some days when you don't have as much work, so you're free to work on other classwork. But please know that if just because you don't have a page coming up, maybe your classmates do, and so just make sure that you're not distracting your other classmates when they're trying to work on their pages, even if you don't have as much to do that day. Okay. And we will try to then throughout the semester have some celebrations. We'll have deadlines kind of set throughout the semester, and if we can have everyone meet those deadlines. Last year I think we had like a movie day. You can certainly bring in snacks and stuff. So certainly as we all work together and try to meet deadlines, we'll find some fun ways to celebrate those deadlines as well. Okay. So if you want to take a look at what's coming up here, this week with Mr. Link, today was just talking about the syllabus. And then tomorrow, you guys will be doing kind of a team building activity. And then Wednesday and Thursday, Walsworth provides some really great webinars on kind of the roles of a yearbook and how to bring the whole thing together. And then on Friday, you guys will kind of be looking through past yearbooks as well as yearbooks from other schools and kind of identifying things that you like from those and things that you think we could improve on. Next week, we'll be talking about the theme for the yearbook. With it being the 10-year anniversary, we're going to try to come up with a cool theme related to that. We're going to start determining what pages we want to include in the yearbook. A lot of times we kind of go based off last year and then figure out what pages we want to cut, and then if there's any pages we want to add, as well as kind of brainstorming some ideas for what we call a sidebar story, which would just be kind of like a human interest kind of story that goes along on some of the pages. In the 2 weeks following that, we're going to focus on photography. So we're going to learn how to take photos, going to learn how to upload them, edit them, how to choose the best photos, and how to write captions. Then following that for 2 weeks, we'll spend on page design. So we're going to learn about the principles of design. We'll learn about fonts, as well as how to design the pages in Walsworth. And then the whole next week after that, we're going to learn specifically about InDesign and learning how to use that software. 2 weeks after that, we're going to spend on copywriting. So we'll learn about writing a lead, how to interview your sources, how to write strong captions, how to correct errors in your copy, how to spot errors, and then really just how to write a good yearbook story. And then finally, the week after that, we're going to look at how you kind of put it all together and create a full spread. And we'll really go over the checklist that we're going to create this year for, it'll tell you everything that you need to have on a page in order to receive a good grade on that page. So, if you want to make sure your headline is, in this size font, it's in this typeface, you've got all your pictures with a border around them, you got captions, you include at least 3 sources, we'll kind of have a whole breakdown of everything that goes into a good yearbook page. And then that way when you turn in your spread, you'll turn in a checklist with it to make sure that you've covered all those things. So the idea is that by kind of mid to end of October, we'll kind of have everything done in terms of actually learning how to create the yearbook. And then the reason you'll see in these next weeks from week 10 through week 18, while you don't see things listed there, that's when we're really going to start creating the yearbook. So if we need more time to go back and review some of those things, if people are having a hard time picking up some of the software or some of the other skills there, we will spend more time on that. But really by that time, we want to start diving into creating our pages because our first deadline will be on December 4th. So I want to make sure you have enough time to create all those pages to turn in by then. And then that way, we'll turn in a draft, we'll make revisions, and then you can submit those final ones by the end of the first semester. And then pretty much second semester will be spent really just making the rest of those pages and creating a great yearbook. So with that being said, I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you next week. If you have any questions in the meantime, you can certainly shoot me an email at jbradley@toltoncatholic.org. And otherwise, I will look forward to seeing everyone next week. Thanks so much. Have a good one.